Are you ready for this, dude?
I'm ready, dude.
I mean,
Let's
this
do
has
it.
been months in the making,
I know, man.
if not years.
Finally, we've arrived.
You know what's funny about our relationship is I've known you, I guess, for almost 3 years since you did a venture capitalist with Shawn.
Yeah.
I bumped into you a couple times before then doing workouts for the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are, teammates.
Hey, life is all about the unexpected.
That's right, man.
Man, it's interesting. So
Gosh.
interesting.
I'm sitting here in the indoor facility.
Uh-huh.
It's a great day. Can't see it. But this interview is all about people who have had interesting career trajectories.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to start talking about people's upbringing and their family situation. So if you could dive into that, that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, I grew up in Washington, D.C. My grandmother raised my 6 siblings and I. I'm the oldest of 7. My brother Vontae, he's right behind me. He was drafted, and he pretty much, his goal was always to beat me at everything. But, I'm the big brother, so, of course, I'm always going to win. I'm always going to be on top. But I felt like as being the oldest child, I had to lead the way. And for Vontae, it was my obligation to make sure that I was doing the right thing so that he wouldn't make any mistakes. So it's pretty awesome to know that I have a brother who pretty much followed me, and I laid the way for him, as well as my other siblings.
Tell me about your grandma, because she sounds like a phenomenal woman.
My grandmother is probably the hardest working woman I've ever met in my life. I mean, of course, she raised my 6 siblings and I, and then not only that, she worked 2 jobs, and she took on the responsibility of bringing in her sister's kids, so she watched over them as well.
Wow.
And she also cleaned houses, and she cleaned our house every 3 days and just made sure everything. She had so much going on. It was like a business. She had this operation, but it wasn't really a legitimate business. But she was making it. It seemed like it was. She was just always working, and I applaud her for her hard work, dedication, and just inspiration. It's the love. That's what I love that word, because when you think of the word love is everything. And if you feel that, then you're going to be a great person, because you know what it's like to be loved, and you know what it's like to show love. So if you have both sides of that, then you could only come out to be the best you could possibly be.
Yeah. This is a slight tangent,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a wedding coming up. Speaking of love, you have a wedding coming up. Is that right?
Love is in the air.
That's right. This summer?
I do. Yeah. No, next summer.
Okay.
Yeah, June 20th, 2020.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Are you excited?
I am excited. It's been quite the journey.
I got you.
Fun and stressful at the same time.
I got you, man. Okay, so you graduated high school and chose to go to Maryland, and you said you kind of wanted to stay around home.
Mm-hmm.
Describe to me, I mean, you're literally, I don't want to gas you up too much here, but you're literally one of the greatest athletes I would say of the past decade,
man,
if not
so
two.
I'm
just trying to be honest and give my listeners some background here. But like I distinctly remember watching you on do you remember the Sports Science?
Yes.
And you just absolutely mauled that guy because he was trying to be like your sled, and you pulled him, and you're explosive.
With John, yep, I remember.
Yeah.
John B.
Were you excelling at everything you did from the start, or like tell me about when you realized I'm a freak athlete? Like, I'm curious, because I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
I've never been able to like sit back and be like, oh my gosh, I'm the best athlete of our generation.
So there was two moments in my life,
Okay.
right? I'm going to give you the first moment. The
Okay.
first moment was when I played in middle school. I played half of that season in tennis shoes. Kevin Garnett's black and white
Football?
Nikes that I had on football.
Oh my God.
I played football.
Are
I'm going to tell you why,
serious?
because I couldn't find any cleats that worked well for my feet. I've always been flat-footed, man. When you're flat-footed, you have the hardest time trying to find shoes. Well, specifically cleats to fit your feet. And I played half the season in those shoes, and oh my gosh, I was crushing it. I dominated. I mean, I think I averaged maybe 70 yards a game.
Wow.
Yeah, in those 6 games that I played, I averaged 70 yards a game. That's when I knew that, hey, my future was going to be bright. And then I get to high school, and I went to high school for basketball, but I ended up walking on to the football team. None of the coaches knew about me, none of the players. I walk on. It's like, hey, I would like to try out. I don't know what position. I know I want to play offense, but have anything for me? Is there any opening? He's like, you come out on the field and try out. You can work out with the team. Be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Show up that first day. I mean, here I am, 10th grade, right? I'm just running by everybody. I'm running faster. I'm stronger. I'm more explosive. That's when I realized that, hey, this game they call football is definitely for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's clearly worked out for you. Here's what I think's interesting. I mean, everybody talks about LeBron. That's the closest parallel I can come up with to you.
Yeah.
And it's like he'll say some seemingly prideful things that like everybody gets all upset about. I'm sitting there and thinking, at what point you have to distinguish between being honest as you are with such unique gifts of I'm just like uniquely gifted at physical activities, and there's a difference between being honest with what gifts you've been given and being prideful about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you ever struggle with like humility? Is kind
No,
of my question.
no. Humility is something I live by. Like I said before, I'm just always cognizant, and I'm making sure that I'm doing everything that I possibly can to make sure that this guy, that guy, and that guy over there is saying nothing but great things about me when I leave. When I walk away, I want them to say that, hey, that man right there is a good man, very humble, very benevolent, and he's just overall, his character, his integrity, he's all class when it comes to those things.
Yeah.
That's what I want people to say when I leave. So I'm very cognizant on how I go about my day on a daily basis.
Wow. It rubs off, honestly, because here I am. I'm probably the smallest fish in the pond when it comes to the team, and you've been so nice to me, so I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's dive in a little bit to your NFL career specifically. Coming out of college, you get drafted. Tell me about the draft process for you.
Yeah, so the draft process. So my goal was to play ball, of course, get drafted in the first round. So that year before I left, I already had my grade. They said second round, but I had hope and I kept faith that I would get drafted in the first round. So I get a call, I get invited to the combine, go to the combine, and the things that I was focused, the one thing that I was extremely focused on was running that 40-yard dash, because that 40-yard dash means everything. That tells the coaches and all of the teams that, hey, this guy, not only did he play well in college, but he can also run, right? And that's what they want to see. They want to see that you can run. So I really focused on that. Ran, I believe it was a 4.39 during that time.
Insane.
So that right there kind of took my stock up a little higher than it was prior to going into that combine. So I get a call, get invited to New York for the draft, along with 5 other guys, Vince Young, Reggie Bush, Mario Williams, those guys. We all know about those guys. They had such a stellar career.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there at the table, and I get a call from the San Francisco 49ers, and pick up the phone. It's like, hey, you ready to come play for our team? So I walk out on the stage, and next thing you know, I was the 6th pick in the first round.
Wow.
Great. My faith.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you had braids at that point.
I did. I had braids, dreads,
were
whatever
they
you want to
dreads?
call them.
What were they?
I don't know, whatever you want to call them.
No, there's a difference. There's a huge.
They were braided dreads. Braided dreads.
Braided dreads. Okay. The reason you fit the context of this show is because you have so much going on outside of football. I read a headline saying Vernon Davis shows that NFL players can care about more than just football.
Mm-hmm.
Was that always the case in your career? Was that always the case with Vernon in college? Like, because there's so many guys in the locker room, they're only focused on football.
Right.
You have got involved, and we'll talk about some of these things, in so many other ventures.
Mm-hmm.
You're a you check out your website, philanthropist, artist, athlete, entrepreneur. Like, there's so many different sections and components to you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that always the way you've been?
No, I don't think so. I think I've always been interested in different things, things that most football players would normally be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been like that as a kid. Even when I was in elementary school, I was a tumbler. I used to catch the cheerleaders and
Really?
yeah, I did. And no one knows that. No one. That's off the record.
Okay.
That's off the record.
Gonna cut
That's
that.
off the record, buddy. But no, I don't mind. But yeah, I was a tumbler for the cheerleading team, and I guess when I got drafted, everything that I was into, my personality and everything that I believed in, all of the things that I wanted to do just started to come about, and I didn't look back. I was never afraid to be who I really was, right? You should never be afraid to be who you are. What's inside must be revealed, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we become successful is if we block out all of the noise and not being afraid of who you really are.
Yeah. Dude, that is amazing words, honestly. I feel like the first step to change is like you have to be honest with yourself. Just like we were talking about, like LeBron is a phenomenal athlete, but maybe he's weak in this area. You have to be honest in both areas. Like, hey, I'm great here, but I need improvement here. And then you can make a change and progress. So you've always been interested in different things, whether it's tumbling or whatever. You get to the NFL, there's so many opportunities. You've started charities. You started businesses. What of all of these things are you most proud of?
That's a good question. I'm most proud. You know what? I'm most proud of the platform that I was given to be able to inspire and encourage our youth, because that's what it's about. It's about using this platform that we have to be able to bring awareness to what life is really supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Giving back, helping others who are in need, showing people the way to be as a person through humility. Not only that, but sharing your story, because we assume that a lot of people know our story, but a lot of people don't. So if we're able to use the platform that we have to bring awareness to those things and show people that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And that's what I'm most proud about.
You've done a great job with that. What do you feel like was rock bottom in your career?
For me, in my career, there was moments, but I think the most significant moment that I would have to highlight was when I left San Francisco and I went to Denver. In San Francisco that year, I thought I was doing pretty well, right? I was helping the team. I feel like I was always a good guy, but they called me in the next day after we finished playing the Rams, the St. Louis Rams. I go in, they say you're going to get traded. Started crying because I was there in San Francisco for 10 years, and now I felt like they didn't want me around anymore. They just wanted to get rid of me, right? So I go to Denver and play the first 2 games mid-season. You know, I have good games. The first game was good. Then the second game I was doing really well, but I made a mistake. After that mistake, I felt like they had stopped playing me, right? They didn't really tell me what the reason was, but I felt it. I felt like I knew what it was. So at that moment, I go from a guy that's, gets drafted high and always a starter to being that guy who wasn't really the starter that I've always been.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I just felt like I was at rock bottom. And then I look at my Instagram, people were talking about me. I had to turn my comments off. And
like
after
you don't
that
got
season,
it anymore.
Yeah, like it was just tough for me. It was stressful. Then I had to move my family out, my kids to Denver in the middle.
Yeah.
Right, they were in school, so I had to do that. Then after the season, I didn't really get any calls. No one called me. The only team that was interested in me was the Washington Redskins, because my general manager that drafted me to the 49ers, he was here he was the only guy that believed in me that I could still play, right? Which was awesome because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that moment right there, when I was trying to find a team, get a call, I just wanted to give up. Totally wanted to give up. I said, I don't want to do this no more. This has been a rough year, even though we did win a Super Bowl. But deep down inside, I was still feeling some kind of way because I felt like I was being neglected and no one wanted me to play for their team. So I had to fight through it. I just kept fighting. I said, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go into this year, and I'm going to keep my faith. I'm going to be diligent when it comes to my preparation, and I'm going to play to the best of my ability and make sure I contribute in any way that I can to help this team win.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden I was signed to a 3-year extension because of my character integrity and my play on the field.
A couple things you said there that I want to touch on. One, in a weird way, I'm glad that you cried when you got traded because I went through that exact same thing where it's like, as a professional athlete, I started in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And you expect a degree of loyalty from a team. As you said, you were 10 years in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I only spent 3 months in Kansas City. But, like, you want this loyalty to exist between you as a player and them as a team. And you realize, like, pretty quickly that that's not always the case. It's not really how the business works. It tore me up, dude. I cried the first, the second, and the third time I got cut. And it's like, it's just hard. It's really, really hard. But I think it's a good moment to kind of step back, reflect, and have a perspective change, as it sounds like you did. Second, you said even though you won a Super Bowl, you had these unrestful feelings. You weren't like people equate winning the Super Bowl to like the peak of life, and it doesn't sound like that was the experience for you. Do you feel like your off the field character has contributed to your longevity in the NFL?
Most definitely. I feel like my character off the field contributes to everything that's associated with football and everything that's not associated with football. Because when you're just a good person overall, you're treating people the way you want to be treated, and you're accountable, you're loving, you're benevolent, and you're a leader. All of those things, people are watching you. Even when you think someone's not watching you, they're always watching you. So you always have to be at your best. And when you do those things, you're going to bring in that energy from the atmosphere. It's like the law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me all the time, so how did this come about? How did that come about? I said, I tell them, like, usually whenever you want something from out of your heart and your soul, you really want it, and you talk about it, you live it, you breathe it, it's going to come to you naturally. You don't have to do anything.
So I was not big on like the energy concept until I realized, just like what you just said, when you are so dedicated towards pursuing something, you're going to be talking to people about it. You're going to be researching about it, learning about it. You're going to be strategizing like, hey, I need to take this step and then the next step. You're going to be doing everything you can to do that. And I think I strictly think having a clear vision of what you want is an extremely powerful concept. And then B, showing other people that you have that vision just like creates some momentum. So I'm glad you said that because it's an important concept. I want to talk about some of your off the field ventures because it's super interesting to me. I think it was in San Francisco when you sold yourself publicly as an athlete. I'm still struggling with the phrasing of that, but you IPO'd your professional athletic career. Why did you do it, and how does that work?
So I IPO'd initial. A lot of people may know. Some people may not know. Initial public offering is like anything that you might see on the stock market that just comes out. It's like all of a sudden, you have a chance to invest in the biggest company or that just hit the market. So I did that because basically the company came to me and they said, hey, Vernon, you have an opportunity to sell 10%, 20%, 30% of your football income as well as your future brand income, meaning any endorsement deal that I seek between now and later on in life, because this is pre and post career, right?
Wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah. So I looked at it like, of course, okay. So they're going to give me a check for $4 million, and I'm going to sell 10% of my football income and my future brand income. Like, wow, okay, that's cool. And the reason why they wanted to give me that money is because they believed in my character, my integrity, and who I was as a person as well as an athlete.
Yeah.
And basically everything that I do in a good way, whenever I maybe bring in an endorsement or I have some kind of success, then the stock grows, just like any other initial public offering or publicly traded company, right? I said, okay, how am I going to look at this? What's my why? Why am I doing this? And I did it because I know that I have some unique partners, right? We're partners. We're going to be partners from the time I did it all the way up until, my life is over pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So now if I'm going to be successful, if I'm going to be successful, then they're going to be successful. So in order for them to continue to grow and be successful, then we have to work together. They have to bring me opportunities, and I have to present opportunities to them. We're in a partnership. We're family. So if we're going to grow together, we have to help each other. We have to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to always have that continuity that's needed.
What has allowed you to have this success?
Playing 14 years in the NFL is, of course, it's going to require you to start in the beginning. So from the time you enter the NFL, you want to start creating that pretty much you want that progression. If you want the progression that you need to have is whatever you believe is going to work in aiding and helping you take care of your body, both mentally and physically. Because it's one thing to just come in here, right? Just coming to your work environment, the facility, wherever you're practicing or training. You do what they tell you to do, but you also have to do things on your own outside. Massages, chiropractor, dry needle, acupuncture, mental. They have a lot of tools out there that's for your brain, from seeing a psychiatrist to there's so many different things you can do. And I've been doing all of those things since 2006, the day I got drafted. Probably even before that, even before I got drafted, I just started the routine. I wasn't accustomed to it because I was so young. But once I got accustomed to it, I just continued the process. And it has allowed me to go into my 14th season, which is this year, without any injuries, without any surgeries.
Zero.
Injuries. I've never been injured. No.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's.
Jeez.
I mean, it's been amazing. It's been unbelievable. But my point is that start now. You can't wait until you're in year 5 or 6 to start doing those things. If you start now, you're creating that longevity that you've always desired to have. And if you look at Tom Brady, he's been doing the same thing. He's been taking care of his body. He stretches 2-3 times a day. He's seeing his massage therapist, chiropractor, dry needling. He's been doing those things consistently over time. And a lot of people miss that. They think just because I'm a professional athlete, I can get away with stretching or seeing a dry needle because I've always been gifted, super gifted, and I have natural ability to go out there and perform at my best, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool. I get it. I understand why most athletes think that way, but it's like what we were just talking about money, right? If you have a deal with a company, are you going to take the cash or are you going to take the equity?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to want? If you take the cash, that you can spend that just goes away. You're just doing whatever. It's just now. It's just here and now in the moment. But if you take the equity, that's growing over time. So you have to look at your body like equity, right? You do what you do now. You do it consistently over time. That's the best analogy I can find.
You keep saying time, and one of the things you're involved with, this is new, I believe.
Yeah.
A new supplement line called Timeless, which is aptly named, I would say. Can you tell me about what made you want to start this and all about the products?
Timeless Sports Nutrition was started. You can find Timeless Sports Nutrition at timelessportsnutrition.com. I created the brand because I call it a brand, not a supplement, because it is a brand, right? I started it because all of my career, I've always been with different companies, and I've never been able to manipulate the ingredients in the supplements. And I find that by manipulating and changing, maybe taking up the adding more glutamine, right? Glutamine, or adding more um, uh, ingredients to my amino acids, right? That could kind of create a better product, right? That actually works. So I'm more about the results than the product. So if I mean, like, the results are all that matters, right?
Right.
So if you're creating anybody can take a product, but what results are you getting?
Right.
So I try to focus on what can I do to better my results, and the way you do that is by actually trying to supplement and seeing how you feel, comparing how you feel now to the years in the past, right? And from playing so long, I've been able to get a gauge on that, like how I'm feeling year to year, right? Especially being in year 14, you can tell if it's what's working and what's not working,
Right.
because you've been doing it for so long. So that's the benefit I have here. So I wanted to create my own supplement line so that I could not only contribute to the longevity of my career, but also help others, like my teammates and the rest of the guys around the league.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it's for men, for women, whoever. And it's not just for performance; it's also for a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. Because we have the greens, we have the green powders, which is awesome. I've been taking those green powders all my life. Right. And I find that the more vitamins and minerals that I can have, the better for a healthy and active lifestyle. We also have fish oils, and we have pills for your joints. We have that formula as well. So people, I mean, you can find pretty much anything you're looking for when it comes to performance and nutrient support.
I mean, it shows in your skin, Vernon. You got just great skin complexion.
Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, sir.
Well,
Thank you.
you have the greens. You have glutamine powder, which is for recovery for workouts. You have protein, again, you probably want to take for recovery. You have pre-workout, which is fantastic. And you have carbs, which is good for taking pre-workout to help you get the energy that you need. I'm going to include the link for that in the description down below that you can check out and buy some yourself. I've tried it. Would highly recommend it. It's great. One more question, then we'll get to some fan questions and close this out.
Yeah, sure.
Being so diverse and having so many talents and skills as you have, are you ever or have you ever been worried about football and all, like, you know, the past 6 years, football's just been under attack and, like, you can't, it just does so much damage to you. Have you ever been concerned about that since you were so involved in so many other things that, like, football might detract from that from a physical or mental standpoint?
No, I find that early on when I first started to get into business, I was focusing a lot on business during the time that I was playing football and preparing myself to be good on the football field.
Yeah.
And I find that you can't do that. You have to make time. It's like balance. You create balance. Like, you have your family, you have your work, you have other things, your hobbies, right? Yeah. You have to create that balance. So when it's time to play football, then you put those things on hold, right? And I'm not necessarily saying you need to they just need to be at a standstill. No. In my case, I found someone that helps me with my off the field endeavors while I'm playing football.
So that you can focus.
So that I can focus on football. Finding someone that you trust that you can work with that's like-minded, that believe in the same things that you believe in and want to help you grow, right? Yeah. You have them work on that. You check in from time to time, but knowing that this is your focus at the moment. And then when it's over, then you go right back into that. So you kind of have to just, it's that's like an alter ego, right? You're here and then your alter ego is there, so pretty much.
Okay, good. Are you ready for some questions?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so Natalie asks, who is your favorite team that you've been on, and why?
I'll have to say the Washington Redskins is my favorite team that I've been on because of the childhood memories.
Yeah.
Growing up a Washington Redskins fan and being back at home in front of friends and family, meeting my fiance here in Washington, D.C., and just being immersed in the culture and the environment of Washington, D.C. It's been nothing but phenomenal.
That's great. Billy asks, let me pull it up. Billy asks, who is a player that you idolized growing up?
Billy!
Billy.
Good question. My favorite player growing up, I'm going to have to say Barry Sanders.
Wow.
Yeah,
good
Barry
choice,
Sanders,
good
he
choice.
was just so dynamic. His ability to elude defenders, make guys miss, and get upfield just like that was, few and far between. You don't see that all the time.
From Vernon Davis, we do. Okay, Amanda wants to know, what was your favorite sport besides football?
My favorite sport besides football was actually basketball. I played basketball all my life. I didn't start playing football until middle school.
Did you ever
Right.
play basketball with football cleats on, as you played football with basketball shoes on?
No, you can't do
No, I'm
that unless you're playing in the dirt.
Okay. That's funny. Okay, Tim wants to know, what book do you most often recommend?
I recommend, one book that I read numerous times would probably be Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, nice.
That was a great book because I love real estate, I love investing, and that book really inspired me, encouraged me
Yeah.
to get out and actually be active
Yeah.
in it. And so I've immersed myself through
You're a big
the
finance
generosity
guy,
of
huh?
this book.
You're a big
Yeah.
finance guy. I can tell.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun.
What are your goals now?
My goal now is to continue playing football to the best of my ability, maybe win another championship,
Yes.
contribute as much as I can to the team, and build outside of football from acting to broadcasting to real estate and
Philanthropy, and you got so many
philanthropy.
things.
Yeah, and just all of, I'm interested in all of those categories. So just building on those and playing football.
What are 3 takeaways that you've learned over your career that might apply to the audience?
Always have humility, right?
Mhm.
It's important to be humble.
Yep.
You be humble because people, like I said before, people are always watching. So be cognizant of that because that'll take you a long way if you're humble. And when you're getting these accolades and trophies and things, always show appreciation to the ones who helped you get there. Never give up. Keep fighting because you don't know what's next. There's a thin line between success and failure. And you can feel like you're failing, but as soon as you change your mindset, you'll be right back to the success that you had in mind, the goals that you set, all those things. And number 3 is never turn your back on someone who treats you wrong, because you never know when you'll need that person. It's like saying, like, it, if you have someone who does wrong by you or did something that you didn't like, it didn't resonate with you, right? Don't just treat that person bad. Yeah, I mean, you always keep the relationship open because that might be the person that you might have to get a job from one day, right?
Yeah.
So always just use kindness, have kindness in your heart, and everything. If you use those 3 points that I just gave, then everything in your life will be fantastic. Always.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. I have to thank you because you've had a big impact on my life and my approach to football, because I was so discouraged that I can't play football and pursue other things. And you've shown me how to navigate that to a better extent. You said this to me in the locker room the other day, like, hey, when you're here in the locker room, you're football first. That's what you're focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard for me sometimes because, football has not been super good to me at the professional level. You know what I'm saying? I've learned so much from the game, but the business at the professional level has not been great to me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You've also affected thousands and thousands of people's lives. I was reading about your Read 85 program. Changed over 3,000 kids' lives, helping them read and get into books and involved with that. So the impact and the legacy that you leave is great, and something that I would be proud of, and I think you should be too. So
Thank
thank you for taking the time. This is really, really fun. Glad we could finally knock it out. But
Thank you.
going to include all of Vernon's social links in the description down below, as well as Timeless, as we mentioned, his sports nutrition brand. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.